Watching my channel, My English Magazine. Today I explain to you feminist theory, a summary for a level, sociology, introduction, the basics. Inequality between men and women is universal and the most significant form of inequality. Gender norms are socially constructed, not determined by biology, and can thus be changed. Patriarchy is the main cause of gender inequality. Women and subordinate because men have more power. Feminism is a political movement. It exists to rectify sexual inequalities, although strategies for social change vary enormously. There are 4 types of feminism: radical, Marxist, liberal, and difference. Radical feminism blames the exploitations of women on men. It is primarily men who have benefited from the subordinate of women. Women are an oppressed group. Society is patriarchal. It is dominated and ruled by men. Men are the ruling class and women the subject class. Rape, violence, and pornography are methods through which men have secured and maintained the power over women. Andrew Dawkins. Radical feminists have often been actively involved in setting up and running refuges for women who are victims of male violence. Rosemary Tong distinguishes between 2 groups of radical feminists: radical libertarian feminists believe that it is both possible and desirable for gender difference to be eradicated or at least greatly reduced, and aim for a state of androgyny in which men and women are not significantly different. Radical cultural feminists believe in the superiority of the feminist. According to Tong, radical cultural feminists celebrate characteristics associated with femininity, such as emotion, and are hostile to those characteristics associated with masculinity, such as hierarchy. The various alternatives suggested by radical feminists include separatism, women-only communes, and matrifocal households. Some also practice political lesbianism and political celibacy, as they view heterosexual relationships as sleeping with the enemy. Marxist feminism. Capitalism rather than patriarchy is the principal source of women's oppression, and capitalists as the main beneficiaries. Women's subordinate plays a number of important functions for capitalism. Women reproduce the labor force for free. Women absorb anger. Women keep the husbands going. Because the husband has to support his wife and children, he is more dependent on his job, at less likely of demand wage increase. The traditional nuclear also performs the function of ideological conditioning. It teaches the idea that the capitalist class require for the future workers to passive. The disadvantaged position of women is seen to be a consequence of the emergency of private property and their lack of ownership of the means of production. They are more sensitive to difference between women who belongs to the ruling class and proletarian families. Marxist feminists believe that there is considerable scope for cooperation between working class women and men, and that both can work together. In communist society, Marxist feminists believe that gender inequalities will disappear. Liberal feminism: nobody benefits from existing inequalities. Both men and women are harmed. The explanation of gender inequality lies not so much in structures and institutions of society, but in the culture and the values. Socialization into gender roles has a consequence of producing rigid, inflexible expectations of men and women. Discrimination prevents women from having equal opportunities. Liberal feminists do not seek revolutionary changes, that they want changes to take place within the existing structure. The creation of equal opportunities is the main aim of liberal feminist. Example: the Sex Discrimination Act and Equal Pay Act. Liberal feminists try to eradicate sexism from the children's books and the media. Liberal feminist ideas have probably had the most impact on women's lives. Example: mainstreaming has taken place. Difference feminism, postmodern feminism do not see women as a single homogeneous group of MCWC. Criticized preceding feminist theory for claiming a false universality, while Western heterosexual middle class criticism preceding feminist theory of being essentialist critic preceding feminist theory as being part of the masculinist enlightenment project. Postmodern feminism concerned with language and the relationship between power and knowledge rather than politics and opportunities. Helen Silkros, an example of a postmodern destabilizing theorist. Criticism of feminist theories: Marxist. Radical feminists ignore other sources of inequality such as sexual violence. Patriarchal system exists before capitalism in tribal societies. For example, the experience of women has not been particularly happy under communism. Liberal, based upon the assumptions and norms such as individualism and competition, and encourage women to be more like men, and therefore deny the value of qualities traditionally associated with women such as empathy. Liberalism is accused of emphasizing public life at the expense of private life. Radical and Marxist feminist, it fails to take account of deeper structural inequalities. A difference feminists argue it is an ethnocentric perspective based mostly on the experiences of middle class educated women. Radical, the concept of patriarchy has been criticized for ignoring variations in the experience of oppression. Some critics argue that it focuses too much on the negative experience of women, failing to recognize that some women can have a happy marriage. For example, it tends to portray women as universally good and men as universally bad. It has been accused of men hating, no trusting all men. Dear friends, while be women and still oppressed by objective social structures, namely patriarchy, divided women subgroups of weakness, the movement for change related post-feminist perspective on the family. So Josh is so threatened by a feminist woman. He spends his time writing lengthy comments trying to warn other men. What he doesn't understand is how black and white is thinking. So this is the different views. This is a short summary, a level sociology's mix introduction of the basics inequalities between men and women, which is universal and the most significant form of inequality. So I think this is a very important topic in the fourth semester MA English. So guys, you can take the notes from my magazine, My English Magazine. I am also a blogger, and on YouTube, My English Magazine. This is the name of my channel. Today I explained to you MA English fourth semester. Thank you very much.